It's Thursday night here in the Shine Gaming and Esports Center, and you know what that means. It's time for PEC Super Smash Bros. Action. It's your Syracuse Orange against the Kansas Jayhawks, and this is going to be a good one, Rowan.
It is. Both these teams pretty equally matched. Syracuse has had a really tough strength of schedule as of late, going against Minnesota and then Nebraska. They've won 2 of their last 3 and have potential to close out the year winning 3 of their last 4 and solidify a top 3 spot in the PEC.
I mean, this has been a great fall semester. Only losses to Minnesota and, I mean, the number 1 team in Smash in the PEC, Michigan State. That was week 1. And I think it's fair to say this team has really grown since week 1. If you're new here, I'm Jack Elliott here, of course, with Rowan Mastrangelo. We love casting Smash every single week.
It's great. It's great tradition.
But this team has really started to come into their own as of recent. I'd love to take a look at what they've been up to in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, we saw it against Nebraska, and we weren't exactly sure how that one was going to go. You know, Nebraska has done decent in the PEC so far, and obviously it's Syracuse's first time against the Cornhuskers, and they did a great job. I mean, they got off to a bit of a shaky start in a lot of these matches. They fell back a stock early in the first set and the second set, but it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish, and Syracuse took that phrase to its fullest extent, capitalizing on every opportunity, not getting in its head late game. It's something that the Orange have shown a lot of adversity with, or a lot of strength with, overcoming adversity, not letting what happens at the beginning dictate how the match is going to play out.
And some would call this Syracuse line a top-heavy, Rowan. You've got one of the best players in the world in Syrup playing Steve or Ness, depending on the match. At the top of the lineup and right behind him, you've got Sarby, who plays a fantastic Luigi. But something I noticed against Nebraska was everybody contributed. There was one match that they swept. They completely swept the second set.
Yeah, Jack, I think that's a narrative that would have been more acceptable around week 1 or week 2 of PEC play. But after having seen this team play for a number of weeks, that narrative's out the door. There are 3, 4, 5 guys on this team that can play, and we see a newcomer coming in today at the start of the lineup in Talia playing Yoshi. It's been a while since we've seen them play, and I believe the last time was week 2. So now they're coming in the last week of PEC play. Syracuse has a ton of fighters that they can go through their roster with, and that's a luxury that not a lot of PEC teams have. When they played against Nebraska, they had four people to go off of, the Cornhuskers that is, and Syracuse could really rotate their lineup around. You see 5 of the, I believe it's 7 or 8 Syracuse players that make up this total roster. So this isn't even all of it.
If you're new here, speaking of the roster, I want to take you through the format real quick, because it's confusing. PEC adopted a new roster, a new format for Smash Bros. Matchups at the beginning of the season, aptly dubbed by some the Syrup rule. So what happens is, it's 1 point per stock you take. It's a basic 3-stock battle, 3-life battle. And so per stock, if you take a stock off your opponent, that's 1 point for your team, and you also get 1 point for winning your matchup. So let's say you win, but you lose a couple stocks, and you only win with 1 stock left. You get 4 points for the 3 stocks you took off your opponent, plus the 1 stock for winning. The 1 point for winning. Right. Your opponent would get 2. It would be a 4-2 win. It's best of 4, so there's 4 matchups. It's a series of picks and counter picks. Syracuse got the first blind pick. Kansas got the last blind pick here. And at that point, it's best of 4, and the points are tallied at the end. And it's best of 3 of those 4 match sets.
It's a really interesting format, one that has not really been seen a lot in Smash gameplay. Normally, it's just the standard crew battles. You send someone in, and they take down as many stocks from the opposing team as possible before their 3 stocks get taken, respectively. But no, this is much different. You put your preferred fighter in first, and then the other team has an opportunity to counterpick. Then they send someone in, and then you have an opportunity to counterpick, as you just said. So there's a lot of strategy. You know, if you send a fighter in who excels in aerial combat but isn't necessarily the most quick on the ground, you might want to choose a character, not your best fighter per se, but your fighter that you know is confident about taking advantage against characters with slow ground mobility. So there's a lot of skill and strategy to it.
We got match 1 coming up right now. It's Talia playing Yoshi for Syracuse, who was Team A. That was the blind pick, counterpicked by Fox 121 playing Corin.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup for the Orange. I mean, Yoshi, I think, as a character, outplays Corin, and at least Talia as a fighter. But Corin is funky. Not a lot of people play Corin, so it's kind of difficult to get a read on your opposing fighter. It's one of the most important things going in knowledgeable, and against an obscure fighter like Corin, makes it very difficult.
Talia's gotten off to a strong start here, utilizing the shield very well, also utilizing that egg throw, up 78 to 27% on this first stock, trying to get some distance against Corin right now.
Yeah, what I'm noticing about Talia is that they're not exactly going for a ton of combos or just are having trouble landing them, but they're still getting these little chip damage hits, and it's more than enough. She's already got Fox Fnatic up to 106%.
Nice little tail whip into an egg throw here, an opportunity to guard on the edge. Another tail whip launches Fox Fnatic up to 120%, definitely into that knockout range, and Talia is only on 42% here, Rowan, so really an impressive start for the Yoshi player. It's another good egg throw. Now trying to land that knockout hit, goes for a couple of tail whips in a row. That would certainly do it. Good grab there from Fox to land a couple of percents and kind of put Talia on the back foot. Launch way off stage, now up to 85%, gonna have to recover. Misses on that down air, didn't quite get it to go for Corin. Now just trading hits back and forth. Back to the egg throw, into a tail whip. Just missed, but some good shield to avoid the strike from the Soar.
No lead is big enough, especially when you're going against PEC opponents. You saw that Syracuse was up almost 100%, and now the match is almost notched. You can never be too safe, as an accidental air dodge is going to take the first stock off Syracuse.
That's just a misinput, an SD, but the tail whip immediately follows up. We're back even, 2 stocks apiece.
Yeah, really great way to make up for that error. You cannot give up too much lead, especially when it comes to stocks. Percents, you can make your way back, but stocks, it's much harder. Syracuse did a great job there of pushing through the adversity.
We've also seen, that was a good example from Fox of just kind of making the most of a stock that was lost very early. Once you're up to 120%, you're going to lose that stock. Talia tries to land a combo, doesn't quite get it. But you make the most of that stock, and you took a whole stock off Talia up in those high percents. Talia shields, rolls away, and lands a throw, and then immediately into the grab, gets a couple chomps on Corinne again. Now off stage, and oh my goodness, the spike! A huge knockout!
What a forward air. That move is so tough to land. There's just a few select frames where that spike is active, and Talia nailed it.
That puts Syracuse up big, and now Talia's landing some hits in a row, stringing some moves together, up to 79% into the grab and thrown off stage. My goodness, Talia is dominating on this second stock. Good recovery there from Corinne. Gets a couple of percents there, but Talia right back to that egg throw, that bread and butter. Been using that to great effect here.
It just shows how prominent momentum is in Smash. Talia already has racked up 100% and took a stock previously in a matter of moments. It's just like conventional sports. If you can string some momentum together, it will carry you on your way. It's up now for Fox to stop that momentum and flip the script.
And it's going to be difficult. You're on your last stock. You won't even get a chance to come back. If you can get your opponent on the back foot, it's very difficult to recover. Fox trying to get back into this game a little bit. A couple good shields off the edge. Just missed it there, but there's the tail whip. My goodness, Talia trying to get back on the front foot. And there it is, another spike. And Syracuse takes a 4-1 lead after the first match.
Not only is that a win is a win, but that's a high quality win. You can win 4 stocks to 2, which makes the stock differential just 2 points for the winning team. But Talia took that one 4-1. That's a quality win. You've got a little more breathing room, a couple more stocks to play with. You can get a little more experimental as we move down to the second match. But Talia, they had a job, and it was to win and win well. They did that.
That was the best I've ever seen Talia play, personally. That was impressive Smash from them. That was just dominant front to back. We'll take a look at some of the replays there. The tail whips were used very effectively, and the egg throw. That was what I saw most, was just creating space, dealing a lot of percent.
The egg is Yoshi's only projectile as a character. Some have 5, some have 1, some have none. And often when you don't have a lot of projectiles, you're very exploitable. You can kind of assume that your fighter is going to opt for more close combat, so you want to create more space. But Yoshi has that privilege of that one projectile, and it's so effective when it's used correctly. Talia did just that.
Looking ahead to our next matchup, we got Scooby playing Me Brawler. That was the counter pick to Raisin Loaf playing Olimar. And when they picked Olimar into the into the counter pick, Sarvi was immediately, I know who I want in there.
Raisin Loaf. That's a fun name. Olimar. Personally, not as fun of a character, but that's all right. I see why Sarvi could be fired up about this. Olimar is super lightweight, one of the lightest fighters in Smash Ultimate. And Me Brawler, it's in the name. He brawls. Heavy hits out of this fighter, and when you're going against a lighter character like that, you gotta take advantage of those heavy hits and get early knockouts. I think Scooby's gonna be able to do that just by the nature of his character and also how he's been playing as of late. The development we've seen from Scooby as a fighter from week 1 to now, it's been night and day.
And with what we just saw from Talia, every single fighter on this roster for Syracuse has progressed. I think it speaks to what having a top 11 player in the world says. Look at Scooby right here from New York. From right around here, business analytics major over in Whitman.
He's a smart guy. And when you say top 11 player in the world, not referring to Scooby, we were referring to Syrup. Andrew Syrup Mo, one of the most highly touted Smash recruits that the Syracuse Orange are more than happy to get their hands on, has placed highly in many national tournaments, many local tournaments, and when he came onto the roster this year, obviously his performance as an individual was exceptional, but leaders, they affect everybody around them, mentally and also on the court, on the screen, we'll say. And it's exactly what Syrup's been doing. All the fighters around him have improved, and Scooby's a prime example of that.
And I think it also speaks to the rest of the leadership, too, because Syrup, he's a quiet dude, but he has a lot of game experience, and he can bring that. But the vocal, emotional leaders on this team, not just the coach, Nikita Bear, but also Sarvi as, the de facto team captain.
Yeah, there's a ton of leaders on this Syracuse roster. Sarvi, who is a leader just because he's been here for a long time, also a great player, but when you understand the system that you're a part of and you know what you're fighting for, you can kind of build a community around that in terms of your roster. Syrup, a leader because of his raw skill. Both bring different things to this team, but all of it's beneficial.
We're getting into it now. The long nose of Scooby's Me Brawler. Always a welcome sight. Squidward-esque, some would say. I would say.
Squidward's
and already
nose.
dealing a lot of percentage. Already taking a lot of percentage here, but wow, oh my goodness! A knockout on the uppercut early for Scooby and still got a lot of stock to work with.
And that's why Sarvi was so fired up about the opportunity to throw Scooby against Olimar. Such a lightweight character, you can string just a couple hits together and then you're already in the knockout zone. If Scooby, Me Brawler, were to go against a heavier character like Donkey Kong or Bowser, it just wouldn't be the case.
Something I'm finding interesting, Rowan, I think Scooby's Me Brawler design almost looks a little bit like Olimar as he nearly gets knocked out there, manages to recover. Just jockeying for position, trying to keep this short range against Olimar, I would say.
Yeah, you don't want to get too far away. Me Brawler has no projectiles, and Olimar with those Pikmin's got a couple. Let's take a 2-stock lead. How about that?
My goodness, 74% Olimar was on that knockout. That is a low percentage knockout, and Olimar is not the heaviest of characters, one of the lighter characters, but still, that feels early.
It is early, but the positioning was there, and now Scooby has an opportunity to get a huge stock lead for Syracuse. He's at a high percentage himself, so he's going to need to be careful, but winning the stock here would be amazing. Unfortunately, it's just a fantasy now.
There's the knockout, but still got 2 stocks to work with, and your opponent is already all the way up on 63%. Raisin Loaf has been struggling, but now starting to come back a little bit in this stock. Got Scooby all the way up to 70% here already.
Look at this. You find one opening, and all of a sudden you're 70, 90% down, and with bad stage positioning.
And there it is. Could not recover, and they're back to even stocks here. My goodness, what a comeback from Raisin Loaf.
Scooby needs to settle down and make sure he doesn't get in his own head. You lose a couple stocks here and there, you go down on percents, but you have to stay composed and locked in. You had a huge lead at one point. You know you can do it once. Do it again when it matters most, right now.
Going for the grabs, not quite getting them. Not able to connect there. Up in the air, juggling, trying to get Alamar knocked out. And there it is, a nice side kick, 111% all the way up for Alamar. Scooby hasn't taken a point of percent in quite a while. Alamar trying to change that narrative a little bit here and doing so successfully. Got Scooby up to 70%. Scooby needs to create some space on the back foot. Does so nicely there. Alamar manages to land a hit through the stage. That was impressive with one of those red Pikmin lighting Scooby on fire. And oh my goodness, Alamar! That's a knockout and an incredible comeback win for Kansas. It's 6-5 Syracuse leads.
What a rip-roaring comeback from Raisin Loaf and Kansas. I mean, you saw how much he was down by. It was like a stock and a half. It's almost half a whole game.
More. It was 60% Alamar was on that last stock.
Sure.
And just didn't take any more percents from there pretty much. Took some at the end, but Scooby had already lost 2 stocks. They were back pretty much even.
What he started to do there, Raisin Loaf, towards the very end, is rely on his character's strengths. He was kind of giving Scooby a little too much respect, giving him a little too much space, charging at the moments that were inopportune. But then he started to play his game, utilize the grabs, utilize the jab blocks, options that Alamar has that are just so tried and true. And this is when the tables started to turn. That final, not final, but that almost final stock.
And from there on out, it was all Alamar. And that put Syracuse in a bit of a more difficult position, but fortunately, they have saved their best 2 fighters for last. So the next 2 matchups, it's our blind pick, Syracuse's blind pick, Syrup playing Steve, into Ristermeist playing Min. We have a Min on our roster. Ado Bears tends to play Min from time to time. And then our counter pick to their original blind pick, Sarvi playing Luigi, of course, into Spink96 playing Peach. But first, it's the man of the hour. It's Syrup playing Steve.
Syrup, an Edgewater, New Jersey native. That's awfully close to where I grew up, Bergen County. Major undecided, but something that he definitely knows is this game of Smash. I mean, the 11th best in the country, one of the best players in the PEC without a doubt, and there's really nobody that can take this guy down with confidence. Ristermeist, it's going to be maybe a close one just because Min is a really excellent fighter and is one of the better choices against a character as good as Steve, but when you've got Syrup behind the controller, again, there's only so much you can do.
One thing I'm going to look for is Min to use those long arms to make life really uncomfortable for Syrup. It's already happening right here, but you need to not give Syrup time to mine. Otherwise, Steve gets into that advantage state with gold, diamond tools, and from there on out, it's really difficult to fight against. And oh my goodness, some pretty incredible edge guarding right now from Min, predicting Syrup's every move. Syrup just managed to get back on stage, but Min is absolutely hounding him here to start.
Yeah, and Syrup used a ton of materials to get on stage. Steve is reliant on those materials. He needs them to do a good amount of those moves, like that minecart you saw right there. So that definitely took him out for a little bit, but this vertical combo is going to make it right back. 81, look who's got the lead now.
My goodness, what an incredible combo. Flipped this game on its head. Syrup goes for the back air, didn't quite get it. Got the little in-game cam, that's nice. You can see him, he's locked in there, trying to find a time to mine. Has gold, but hasn't found diamond quite yet. Went for the back air again and got launched back across the stage. Hasn't been able to land much of anything, has to use the Elytra to get back on stage, using shield pretty effectively, but Min is really predicting just about Syrup's every move right now.
Something that Min can do is get close and personal with her arms, but also keep her hitbox far away. So she can really cause a lot of commotion and tighten the space, tighten the zone, but without putting herself at risk. So it's a really nice dichotomy that's very difficult to trump.
It's a really nice back air that kind of gave Syrup a moment to recover and place down the anvil and the TNT in quick succession. My goodness, Syrup nearly knocked out there. Uses the minecart to recover, very low on materials, but has diamond. Hasn't been able to craft his tools yet, but has it available to him. Misses the back air there. Now just trying to shield, get some more materials. And my goodness, it's a knockout for Min Min, an early stock lead for Ristermice.
But now Syrup has crafted those diamond tools at his apex, and 142%. Really, any move would kill here. Not that one. He needs to rely on a kill move, not a jab.
Went for the footstool down air back across the stage. Didn't quite get it. Good grab there from Min Min. Gonna have to recover now. Min Min off stage. Went for the back air. There's a nice hit across the stage with that pick. Min Min able to recover. And my goodness, Syrup goes for the TNT, then into the minecart. Didn't quite get it yet. Now taking a little bit more percent, but lands the knockout there, still with the diamond tools.
37 is also not a lot. He made good value of that stock. Should the knockout have happened a little earlier? Maybe, but oh my goodness!
That was ridiculous!
That couldn't have happened soon enough! I blinked my eye, and now we've got a 1-stock lead on our hands.
That was a 3-second knockout for Syrup, Rowan. My goodness, that is why you have a guy like him on your team. Syracuse is fortunate of that fact. They are hype outside. Now just got to take care of business on this last stock. Completely materialless. It may not matter, though. Gets a nice combo there. Manages to mine a couple more materials. But still, it's running, I mean, pretty much empty.
But he's making it work. I mean, he's getting those little chip shots, making sure that he maintains center stage, and that's right now is when you can start to get those materials. And look at that. He's already got a few iron, some gold. That's enough to go to work.
Went for the down air, didn't try it again there, tried it across on the other side of the stage. Looking for a knockout move here, pretty much even, exactly even at 92%, but there's the back air and the knockout. Syrup takes it 2 stocks to none. It's a 4-1 win for Syracuse, and it's a 10-6 lead. That means that Spink 96 will have to 3-stock Sarvi if Kansas even wants to force overtime, Rowan.
Ristermice had us sweating a little bit. Got off to a blazing start for the Jayhawks, but Syrup had a lot to say about it.
It was kind of, you know the meme where you're sitting back in your gaming chair and then all of a sudden
and then you
sit
hunch forward?
That's
exactly
what he just did. We'll take a look at the highlights right now. Here was one of those combos. I mean, he lands that combo with such consistency. There was the first knockout. That's when we were kind of, starting to worry a little bit. Here's the first of Syrup's knockouts, and the second ones didn't take much time at all.
Yeah, he made us eat our words quick.
It was simply stunning. I mean, he lands that move pretty much every time. It's one of his go-to knockout moves.
Yeah, that forward smash, especially with the diamond tools, is just so... It's so powerful, and him getting those tools there was huge. Min Min did a great job just keeping him off the stage, not giving him any space to breathe and to mine, and that is how Steve goes from a good character to a great character, is getting those tools. He had no space, couldn't do it, but sooner or later, Syrup figured it out. It's that game IQ. It came into play, he recognized what was going wrong, flipped it right on his head.
Steve also is a character that needs a little time to warm up. So you can kind of expect the first stock to be a little more contentious and then improve as things go along. We'll look ahead to the next matchup now, though. It's Sarvi playing Luigi and Spink 96 playing Peach. And Sarvi was hyped for this one. As soon as they picked Spink 96, which is the last matchup, you got a whole series of drafting to go before you get to pick who goes into that. Sarvi was like, I want that one. And that's good. Sarvi, when he plays confident, he plays better, and he has a very simple task here. Take 1 stock.
I think it's doable. A little Mario Brothers matchup. Luigi, Peach, well acquainted, good friends. This is your best friend's fiance. Or your twin's fiance, right? Mario and Luigi are twins.
They're
right,
twins.
So your twin's fiance that he's going against.
Now, I gotta say, Rowan, I feel like that'll make the wedding a little awkward.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tense. But, you know, game is game. You can't shy away. And Sarvi's no one to shy away. I mean, he goes head first into this thing. He's easily the most spirited person on this roster. Gets so fired up for everyone.
Another
including
Jersey
himself.
man.
Another Jersey native. Syracuse, they have a particular theme in where they like to recruit from.
You and me, too.
That's right.
This esports program is overrun by New Jerseyans.
It's a huge win. Shout out New Jersey. But this will be a good match. I mean, Peach is a really high caliber fighter, one of the highest tiered fighters in this game. Luigi is up there. It really depends who's behind the fighter for any character, but Peach you can kind of get away with. Just the way she's wired is more advantageous than other fighters. So Sarvi, I think Sarvi's more excited about the fact that he just gets to take on arguably the best fighter on this roster.
And before the matchup, I was talking to him. You can see he's got an AirPod in there, Rowan. He's listening to some music. I was talking to him. I was like, hey, does this team have a song that they like to listen to get hyped? Or, like, does this team have a theme song? Armed and Dangerous.
By Juice WRLD?
No.
Oh, by who?
By King Von.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Wow. Okay, Sarvi.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. He said that was their
Wow.
favorite. We'll get into it now. Sarvi with 1 goal to secure a Syracuse win. Take a stock, and that will do it.
I never would have guessed Sarvi as a King Von fan.
I agree, but, to each their own.
Right, that's W.
And you can never judge a book by its cover. It's, Sarvi taking a little bit of percent here, trying to land one of those combos. That's the thing about Luigi, is that he can go down early, but if he lands one heavy combo on you, you're done.
Yeah, Luigi's super combo reliant. We saw in the first match, Talia as Yoshi didn't rely too much on those combos, more so a bunch of chip shots. For Luigi, you'll probably see something a little bit different. At least 2 or 3 moves strung together for percents, but at its max, Sarvi's going to put together 5, 6, maybe even 7 to take the stock.
And then he will, of course, go for that patented Sarvi up smash roll.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
be looking for that one.
I can't wait to see it. That just makes me smile ear to ear.
As he kicks Peach off the stage, trying to edge guard Luigi, character who doesn't have great edge guarding capability, and if you get caught out edge guarding, also doesn't have great recovery. So it's a dangerous position to put yourself in. Didn't quite get the knockout, but it did not pay off either. Got a couple more percents, up to 116% to 117%. Sarvi been going for that tornado a lot in recent weeks. Gets it there, all the way up to 134% is Peach, but a big response. Sarvi stuck on the stage there, gonna be able to recover, but immediately knocked out. Still, he's only got to take 1 stock.
Only 1, but Spink read that perfectly. She gave him no options off the edge.
I was kind of jockeying for positioning on the edge here. It's a good grab, drops the radish on him, as they say. I don't think they say that,
No.
but as I say.
Sure.
Sarvi all the way up to 52%. Needs to land a knockout blow somewhere here. We'll see if he goes for the up smash or the tornado. Who knows? But there it is. A knockout. Syracuse has mathematically taken set 1.
Went with the back air, and it was clean. That one comes out fast and deals a hefty knockback at 150%. That's tried and true. It's going to be a knockout. And also potential for some major percent. Couldn't quite land the final blow.
And he got something good going there with the grab. There's the tornado, deals a couple more percent. Sarvi working his way back into this matchup. And if he can beat one of the best players on their roster, I think that bodes well for the future of this match.
Absolutely. The less reliant they are on their top dog in Syrup, the more depth this team shows, it only makes you more likely to succeed. And she's going to send Sarvi back to the ether.
A perfect prediction from Spink. Sarvi just trying to take 1 more stock. He, fight with some honor, You feel me, Rowan?
It's all you can do in this league. Fight for honor, represent your university. It's the first time collegiate esports has been put on this display, and you're no longer just playing for yourself for tournament winnings. You're playing for the logo on your chest. It's a beautiful thing.
Sarvi's got the radish, went for the grab there, but there out comes Toad right into the radish off stage. Some really good edge guarding. Looking to get this final knockout here is Spink. Stuck off stage, manages to recover. And Sarvi will punish just a little bit. Up to 98%, now 105, now 110% is Spink. Sarvi grappling off stage, some good edge guarding. Manages to land a little hit forward. Goes for the tornado, knocks himself off, manages to recover and deal another hit. Sarvi battling well here, down to his final stock, up in high percents, trying to get 1 more stock for his university. But there it is, the knockout. Sarvi falls by a score of 4-1, but it's not going to be enough. Syracuse wins 11-10. So Syracuse takes set 1, and now it's a 1-0 lead. These are best of 3 sets. What did you like there from Sarvi in that match? He fell, but he got the job done.
He did exactly what he had to do. What he had to do was take 1 stock, and that is exactly what he did. He was going up against Spink 96, who to a lot of people at home might not mean a lot, but Spink has led the Kansas roster in knockouts in the last 3 weeks. So clearly the juggernaut of the team. And when that's your responsibility to go up against someone as daunting as that, it's like going up against Syracuse. It's a tough task. And Sarvi did his job to perfection. That's all he had to do.
Let's take a quick look at that knockout that was the deciding factor there. You see Sarvi got knocked out first, but he stayed locked in. He knew exactly what he had to do, and he got it done right there, and that was enough to do it for Syracuse. A perfect prediction there from Spink. Got it handed to them. That was incredible gameplay. There's the final knockout. But it wasn't enough.
It wasn't. But Spink's IQ really cut through. I mean, there were so many times where he was utilizing a radish to just guard the edge, limit Sarvi's options to get up, and predicting it as a result. Very solid play from Kansas. I expect more from Spink as we head into round number 2.
And as we get to round number 2, though, these teams are going to have to draft again.
Right.
So we're going to step aside for a moment. We'll come back with all the matchups and, of course, our thoughts on them in just a moment.
It's the final week of PEC play, and we're back on Thursday Night Smash Ultimate. I'm Rowan Mastrangelo with my good friend Jack Elliott, and Syracuse has opened up a 1-0 lead against the Kansas Jayhawks as we head into round number 2. We just saw the draft, and it looks good. There's going to be some different matchups, which is always a great thing, but let's quickly go over round 1, what we liked, what we didn't like. Jack, what stood out to you?
I thought Syracuse played really well as a team. Talia contributed early. Really impressive stuff from them. I thought, Syrup did exactly what he was meant to do as Steve. Locked in, got his 4-1 win, and he'll be playing in this first matchup here, but as Ness instead. And, Sarvi got the job done at the end, as he tends to do.
We'll be seeing Syrup again. No Sarvi, though. Sarvi was the main man heading this draft and calling the shots for Syracuse.
I am irate. I love watching Sarvi play.
Me as well.
I understand why the decision happened.
Sometimes what you want to happen is not always what's best for the team, and that's kind of just how it's going to go here. Sarvi will take a back seat, but what's great is he is so encouraging when his guys are up to fight. Just endless positivity coming from him, and that genuinely does make a difference, having someone in your corner that's rooting for you. And we'll get into set number 1 here. Sarvi in the back rooting for his teammate Syrup as Ness. As we mentioned, Syrup was Steve in round 1, is his preferred character, and he's going to breathe a little easy as an SD earns the first taken stock for Syracuse. It's going to lead 3-2 against Kansas.
My goodness, I was about to say this is a matchup of heavy hitters. Spink probably the best player on this Kansas roster, but an immediate SD is really shocking.
As we mentioned in the last broadcast, Spink has led the Kansas roster in knockouts in 3 of the last 4 Kansas matches. So easily the heaviest hitter of this Jayhawks lineup. And Syrup making quick work as it looks so far. Oh, yeah! A down smash launches Spink off the edge. 3-1 lead for the Orange.
Syrup has taken 20%, took 10% after he'd already taken 2 stocks. He is playing out of his mind right now.
He is dialed, and I just took a look behind us to see him, and he hasn't even cracked a smile. But the crack of the bat launches Spink off the edge. A 3-0 for Syracuse. Let's get this party started.
A 40% 3-0, and the team is reacting accordingly, Rowan. That was nuts. He barely broke a sweat. He barely had to move his controller.
Dapped up his teammates, walked off like another day at the office. That is why Syracuse pursued Syrup so heavily in the offseason, and it paid off. A 4-0 Orange lead as we head into match number 2. Jack, what didn't you like about that? I mean, there was a lot to like.
I can't even really identify anything that I didn't like.
Exactly.
He didn't get touched.
No.
He didn't get touched. I mean, he got helped by an early SD, as we'll see right there. Just no recovery for Spink.
Some would see that and say, oh, that's a fluke. Well, watch this. It was not a fluke. It only hinted at what was going to come further on. 3-1. Syrup with just 10%. Doubled it at 20, and that's about as far as Spink got. Launched him off the edge with a bat, a home run match for the Orange. 4-0 they lead.
I thought he got hit one more time. I thought he was up to 40%. I was wrong, which is even more impressive. 20% total for Syrup in that match. Just mind-blowing stuff.
That was one of the most dominant displays I've ever seen out of Syrup, and he did it against the heaviest hitter on this Jayhawks roster. Jack, what's that going to do for Ado Bears up next with Pitt going against Postmortal as Ness in terms of momentum crossover?
I mean, it sucks the life out of the Jayhawks room right now, doesn't it? Wherever they're holed up in Kansas playing Smash, that place is dead as a graveyard right now. That it just completely destroys any semblance of momentum you had. Ado Bears, on the other hand, has to be absolutely elated. He's got a cushion to work with.
Exactly, and sometimes that's enough, is having that mental cushion, room to breathe, room to try stuff out, and Ado Bears has exactly that, going against Postmortal Ness, one of the also heavy hitters on Kansas. It's really him and Spink doing most of the heavy lifting for Kansas. Postmortal took 2 stocks off of Dice from Michigan State University. Dice, one of the best players in the nation easily top 5 in the PEC, so quite the resume for Postmortal. Edo Bears, even though Syracuse has a 4-0 lead, he's got his work cut out for him with this one.
I got to ask, Rowan, why didn't Postmortal play set 1 then? We didn't see Postmortal.
You never know.
Where's the logic?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. If I were Kansas, I would have thrown Postmortal in earlier. Maybe he was running late. Maybe they just didn't feel it. Maybe he didn't feel it. I'm not sure. All we can do is speculate, but what we know now is that Edo Bears is going to have a tough matchup. Edo Bears will be Pitt. Postmortal will be Ness. Both qualified fighters, but Ness a little stronger in my opinion.
I mean, it's fair to say, Sarvi didn't play this matchup because he didn't like any of the matchups. He's one of the best players on Syracuse. So there is some strategy to not putting yourself in if you're not confident you can win by a lot, but it's just interesting. We'll have to see it here. We just saw Ness for Syracuse. Now we're going to get to see Ness for Kansas.
That's right. Ness, of course, played by Syrup previously, but now it is Scooby and Edo Bears and Postmortal going at it. No hits have been taken just yet. 0-0, both players spacing a lot. Looks like there
might be button testing, right?
Yeah, looks like there's some technical difficulties. Both players have taken a stock, and we're going to get this reset. Jack, I want to ask you, in terms of this matchup between Pitt and Ness, disregard the fighters. What do you think?
Disregard, you mean the players, the
disregard
people controlling
the players
them?
behind the controllers, just the characters themselves in Pitt and Ness.
Ness is one of the stronger fighters in Smash. The ability to create space, both with the PK fire, with the lightning ball. You can edge guard with the lightning really effectively, but you can also create a lot of space for yourself. Pitt is very adept at covering a lot of the stage very quickly. So you're going to have to get inside, get up close, and make Postmortal uncomfortable.
That's right. Pitt, really solid fighter. Not amazing, but also not bad by any means. I like to call Pitt the most humble fighter in Smash Ultimate. Not exactly super flashy, but gets the job done more than anybody. Ness on the other end, a ton of flash, a ton of flare. You'll see fireballs, lightning bolts, all of the above coming out of the hands of Ness. But so far, it's been the aggression of Pitt and Edo Bears opening up to an early lead, 17-86, the respective percent shares between Syracuse and Kansas. Here we are in Town and City from Animal Crossing. You've got that platform on the middle. One of the most unique competitive maps in Smash. And Edo Bears is going to get the action started with a side smash.
And that's exactly what I was talking about before, although I stumbled over my words pretty poorly, is getting up close and personal, making it uncomfortable for Postmortal to do just about anything, and that is what Edo Bears has done so far.
Scooby really trying to lean on the aerial attack of Pitt. That neutral air, that forward air, and that arrow is something he's going to look to take advantage of in those middle percents, but not for kill moves. That up smash, decent amount of percent for Ness, left vulnerable with the up B, but recovers out of it pretty safely. Both characters, well, not anymore. One of them's gone. A really solid rising back air from Ness. It's a 2-2 even game.
That's just, you had to take the stock there sooner rather than later. You're already up to 92%. Those arrows being used as a really effective edge guard, and Postmortal just couldn't get back to stage.
Yeah, that air dodge, Postmortal thought Ness was going to grab a hold of the ledge, but just miscalculated it, and I'm sure he'd love to have that one back. A whole stock lead for Syracuse. It would be a shame if they didn't take advantage. 50-13 deficit on the percents, but stocks in favor of the orange. Postmortal getting a ton of percents in, went for the up smash, but got caught out of it with a forward tilt from Pitt. Now rising towards him, it's Ness, but that neutral air is going to reset the competition. Both characters at center stage, a back air out of Postmortal. Now trying to edge guard, but flying back, it's Pitt, and falling to his demise is Kansas. Syracuse with a 4-1 win. A huge lead for the orange as we'll head into match 3. Edo Bears went in and did his job.
And, a little bit what we talked about before. He was making life uncomfortable, but he barely really had to lift a controller for either of those last 2 stocks. He kind of just let Postmortal take care of himself.
Yeah, and I'm sure that really frustrates Kansas. When you lose a game like that in any sport, you know the feeling when it was a mental mistake. You messed up. You thought your man was cutting to the basket, but instead they flashed out for a 3 and you anticipated the wrong thing. Just a mental mistake, something that doesn't reflect your best work. It's very frustrating, and that might mess up the minds of Kansas. They're a good team, though, so I'm sure they'll be able to stomach it, but it doesn't erase the scoreboard. Syracuse leads 8-1, and like you said, Jack, it was really Ado Bears from start to finish. There was never really a moment where he seemed to be stressing. That back air was great, but still, Kansas didn't have the lead. That is what sparked the downfall for the Jayhawks. That air dodge, trying to get to the ledge, just overshot it, and the final stock was over before we knew it.
And Rowan, when we've played some Smash before, I've often air dodged off the ledge and, just completely lost a stock. But I'm a beginner. I feel like that's an understandable move for me to make.
You are a beginner. These guys are professionals. This is what they do. They can't afford to be making those mistakes. Kansas or Syracuse. Fortunately for the Orange, it's the Jayhawks on the poor end. Let's preview match number 3 as Syracuse holds on to an 8-1 stock lead. It's Talia as Yoshi and Raisin Loaf, great name, as Olimar. Talia, we saw them in the first match, took a 4-1 win to open it up for Syracuse. If the same is done here, Syracuse, I believe they would clinch the win here.
Syracuse actually has a couple paths to victory here, Rowan. I've done the math in my head while we've been chatting.
Let's hear it.
Syracuse clinches a victory with any win or a 4-2 loss. So if Talia takes 2 stocks or more, Syracuse clinches a win. If Talia only takes 1 stock, the best the Jayhawks can do is tie. And if Talia gets 3 stocked, then another 3 stock after that would clinch a Jayhawks win.
The job has been outlined, and Talia, I think it's safe to say that they can do it. Yoshi and Olimar, an advantageous matchup for Syracuse. One of those characters extremely heavy and agile. The other one fairly agile, but very light. It's easy to take advantage of those light fighters, and that's something that Yoshi has over Olimar.
And we saw Olimar getting knocked out at incredibly low percents in their last fight. If you remember, it was against Scooby playing Me Brawler. It was a 74% knockout, I think was the lowest. Went on to come back, but that was indicative of the character to me.
We'll get right into it here as Kansas lands the first blows on Yoshi. Talia against Raisin Loaf. If Talia takes 2 stocks here, Syracuse clinches round 2 and in turn will win this best of 3 and walk out of the fall season of PEC winning. 80-34, Talia getting some responses back to the early chatter of Raisin Loaf. 102-46. Hides in the shell is Talia. Opportunity to get back on the edge. They're going to have to take advantage as the edge guarding from Olimar on full display here. Yoshi with not a ton of get-up options, and that down smash launches Talia off the stage. Raisin Loaf with an early 3-2 lead, just 46%, a lot of room to work with.
And there's the edge guarding. I mean, Olimar is very adept at it, but that was just masterful. Goes beyond even anything that the character can do, and it shows what Raisin Loaf is capable of if they get in a groove.
Talia now trying to just get a little bit more percent on Olimar so that they can get into kill zone, and that's going to do it. 90% against a character as light as Olimar. A plethora of moves will deal the knockout blow. 90-31. Scooby. There's the up air. Talia chasing off stage with that forward air. Can't quite land it, but the neutral air sends Olimar a long way. There's the forward air into Spike. Into the floor. Or even at 2 stocks apiece.
We're looking like volleyball out here, Rowan. That was coming up over the net and boom.
Yoshi's best moves are in the air, and Talia took full advantage to earn that first stock. 17%. Couldn't quite string together the up air, just landed 1. There's the neutral air opportunity for a grab, didn't take it. There's the side smash. Now we're back even on percent, but Olimar responds with an up air. Now fighting for center stage, it's Yoshi who strikes first. Winds up the forward smash, but can't quite connect. Yoshi taking a ton of Pikmin damage, has to reduce it, but no, another big hit from Raisin Loaf, a 2-1 Kansas lead. Talia just needs 1 more stock to clinch this game for the Orange. There's the forward air bouncing Olimar like a basketball on the stage. Rolls onto the edge safely. The forward air doesn't connect. Olimar stringing some action together. Here's a missed forward air from Talia, and now the yellow Pikmin attached. Here comes the chip damage for Raisin Loaf.
And that was so effective last match for Raisin Loaf against Scooby. Led that comeback. Doesn't need a comeback here, but does need to get the knockout here on on Talia. Otherwise, this matchup's over.
Nearly a jab block there for Raisin Loaf, but Talia got out of it. 85 to 111. The up air nearly knocks out. 127. Talia's got stage control. Can they land the blow? Not there. The forward air missed, or was shielded rather. The back air no good. Very evasive play style from Raisin Loaf as he knows the stakes. The back air launches Talia off stage, about even on percents, and the footstool is gonna take this game. What a amazing play. You rarely see the footstool off the edge, but Raisin Loaf executed it to perfection. Kansas has still got life.
And it was exactly what the Jayhawks needed. Raisin Loaf has played pretty incredibly, probably been my player of the game so far for Kansas at least. You know, came all the way back last matchup against Scooby playing Me Brawler and got the job done here against Talia and kept Kansas alive.
That 4-2 win against Scooby last time was 2 of Kansas's 4 wins, or excuse me, was 1 of Kansas's 2 wins in round 1, and that's the first for Kansas in this second round. A 4-1 win over Talia. Syracuse leads 9-5. And now we're going on to the fourth and final matchup. It's Ristermice as Min Min versus Scooby as Me Brawler. But before we get into that, that's just a tease. Let's take a recap of the previous matchup. It was back and forth. Talia did a really good job holding their own as we got into the heart of the game. It was notched up 2-2. Percents got relatively equal. A really good read on that upper platform. Capitalized with the up smash, and the footstool really did it. And let me tell you, Jack, that's a huge momentum shifter. That stock taken by Raisin Loaf with the footstool, it's flashy. It's rare to land a move like that. It takes a lot of precision, and I'm confident that Kansas will carry it into this next match. They've got the wall of Scooby as Me Brawler, but Ristermice as Min Min. I couldn't think of a less advantageous matchup for Syracuse.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the game. We saw who the blind picks were. We saw that Scooby was going in blind, and we said, oh, well, this has to be Min Min, right? That is the only option here, I think. You thought, we both thought, for Kansas, and it came true. Fortunately for Scooby, it's just one stock.
Scooby's a great fighter, and he's shown a ton of progression throughout the season, but when a character is just wired to beat you, there's only so much you can do. Min Min can create so much space between her fighters, and something that Me Brawler relies on is getting up close and personal, deleting that space. But it's very hard to do so against a fighter like Min Min, and we've already seen as Ristermice is dominating in percents.
And, you know, the thing about Min Min is even if you get up close and personal, you can still get hits. You can still fight at close range. Min Min can fight from pretty much anywhere on the stage and deal a lot of percents.
The Orange need 1 stock to win. If Kansas 3-0s here, we will go to a sudden death scenario. Scooby just needs to take 1 stock off of Ristermice. Charging for center stage, Ristermice with Min Min has got the slugging ball out, which does the most damage, and he launches Scooby off the stage. Kansas with a hot start, but 111. That's knockout percents for a fighter like Me Brawler.
Just needs 1 up-close hit, 1 uppercut maybe, something like that, and that'll end this series.
There's the dash attack, doesn't quite do the job. The shot put, both attempts, all 3 don't hit. The 4th, just short. Looking to capitalize above that platform, but doesn't quite do it. Ristermice playing a little more aggressive than one would expect when your back's against the wall at 126%. That neutral air doesn't quite do the job, but tacks on 10 more percent. Here's the jab. Just launches off stage. The shot put, not on target. The second, no. The third, no. Down smash doesn't hit, but recovers in time.
You know, it's real hard to edge guard with Me Brawler. You're not going to get it. That shot put is very poor.
Here's the dash attack. That shot put, the only projectile move in Me Brawler's toolkit. 178, and it lands there, and that clinches it for Syracuse. No matter what happens here, the Orange walk out of the fall PEC season on a winning streak.
That's 6-2, the record for the fall PEC season. Puts you in very good position in the spring to get a high seed.
Depending on what happens here today, of course, the entire PEC playing Super Smash Bros. On this lovely Thursday evening. But right now, it's Syracuse in the 2 spot for PEC and Michigan State the top seed. So Syracuse really making their presence felt, not only today against the Jayhawks, but across all their competitors in the PEC as Scooby falls. But I mean, frankly, these stocks, it's loose change at this point.
I mean, the fall season is pretty much wrapped up. You're just playing through the end of it now.
66-61, Scooby just playing for bragging rights here, as is Ristermeis. Ristermeis, amazing stage control, something that Min has over me Brawler easily, but you can't quite stretch it out against a fighter who's as solid as Scooby. Defending the edge very well, that mace will do it, and Syracuse walks out with the win. Kansas 9, Syracuse 10.
It was an impressive display, this second matchup all around. Syrup led things off with one of the most blazingly hot starts I've ever seen. That was an insane match, insane 3 stocks. And then, Ado Bears came in and did his job as well. Took all 3 stocks, only lost 1. Really impressive. And then it was just a matter of mitigating the damage for the last 2 fighters.
What this game, this round in particular, showed me is how important the quality of your wins are. Syrup 3 stocked. That's a 4-0 deficit in favor of Syracuse. You might look at that and say, oh, it's a luxury. Well, it was essential here. Syracuse won 10-9. That's a 1 stock win margin. If Spink took 1 more stock off of Syrup, we would have been all notched up and we would have had to go into sudden death. Every stock matters in this format, and a huge credit to Syrup, who dominated a 4-0 win, and Ado Bears, who didn't do too bad himself, 8-1 win over Post-Mortal. Take a look at the highlights here as we inch closer and closer to that final kill. There it is. After dozens of shot puts launched off the edge, one finally connects and gets the job done for Scooby and his orange.
And it only takes one, 9th or 10th time's the charm. That's what they say. At least that's what I've heard.
Sure. I guess that is what they say. Well, Syracuse ends the fall season on a W. Each team has played each other once now, so as we head into the spring, these matchups will be a little more familiar. Rivalries will start to brew. It'll only get more exciting as we inch closer and closer to Vegas. Some more Smash action maybe in the break. Maybe some Fall Stars, some other smaller tournaments, some other streaming events going on here on Syracuse Esports. Be sure to tap into the PEC website, pec.edge.leagueos.gg. It's a mouthful, but you can go back and replay it. That's where you can really stay updated with all the fun stuff that the Power Esports Conference is doing. Syracuse with a 2-0 sweep against Kansas. For Sean Kelly, our Director of Production, our entire esports production staff, and my good friend Jack Elliott, I'm Rowan Mastrangelo. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Take care.